Welcome everyone to No Homo. This is our first episode of our podcast with your host, Phillip, and my fabulous co-host, Isaac and Brandon. We are Chicago-centered, Chicago-based, but certainly talking about everything in between, from local news, headlines, international stuff, everything that's kind of going on. We want to give it to you from a Black, a queer, just overall perspective. So I want to introduce my wonderful co-host. I will start with Isaac. How are you?
I am so good, sir. Having a great week.
Mhm.
Gonna play tennis later. So yeah.
What are you sipping on today for our first episode?
What'd you say?
What are you sipping on?
Oh, okay. It's in a Jim Beam, like whatever, but it's it's coffee, and it's because it keeps the coffee really hot.
Mhm.
So, but I mean, like I said, I could use some Baileys or some Kahlua, but it's okay.
Yeah. No judgment if there is liquor in
No
there.
judgment. Right, right,
We
right.
have we have
A
no way of
little
knowing
bit.
There
for
A
is
little
a
bit.
desire for there to be liquor,
A
but
little bit.
sure.
you said a little judgment.
A little bit.
A little
I know this
judgment
will
goes a long way.
this will air at a different time, but y'all should know what time it is when we're doing this right now.
It's after 5 o'clock somewhere in the world.
Right. It's like 6
Exactly.
a.m.
Oh my gosh, starting off crazy
Brandon, I
already.
want to turn it over to you. How are you doing?
I am good. I'm happy to be here and happy to just be talking on the No Homo podcast with my girls and friends. I mean, so many capacities we know each other, but I'm super excited, super excited. And I'm well, doing good. It's an early Saturday morning. And
Yeah.
I like I said, just fun and happy to be here for the most part.
Well, we are all happy to be here together and happy to
Yeah.
do this kickoff. Thank you all for joining us and for watching. Actually, you touched on something really cool about Brandon, about how we came together. Would you like to share kind of how this in so many ways kind of materialized and how we connected?
For sure. So I'm going to tell you from my point of view, and if y'all have anything, y'all definitely come in and tag in. But me being a little quirky in Chicago, looking for things to do and to intern on, I was going to school for communications, and I looked up on the wonderful internship, the SIP. And that's where I met Isaac King, who we, just started this bond and we love each other. And he was a co-host and I was an intern. And I remember that Phillip, you were on a couple times actually, but I remember getting to
Yes.
know you a lot as we were, trying to factor in more members and different people on there. And you did start to do like recurring episodes. So that's when we started to get to know each other and different things like that. But also, as the SIPR had its run and different things like that, we got chances to work with each other through the Chicago Black Gay Men's Caucus, my former job. And we did some amazing things there too, together, me, you, and Isaac. And yeah, this opportunity came up through another source, but at the same time, we said, let's go ahead and make this our own, have some fun with it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we're gonna do. So I mean, that's my spiel. If anybody else wants to like say, or if I did a great job, then that's okay. Because I know y'all have history.
No.
Y'all have
No.
history.
You did do a great job.
Yeah.
But I just want to say that I'm so grateful to be finally doing this with you two in particular, because I have been wanting to do another podcast for what, 3 years now,
Yeah.
Phil? So and we tried to go through some other avenues that we didn't really get the support that we needed. So I am just grateful that you guys are doing it with me, and we found a way to just do it on our own, and and really give our own point of view and not be like stifled by like higher ups telling us like what we can discuss. That's
Yeah.
what is most important to me.
Sometimes you gotta just do it on your own and do it by yourself. Well, by yourselves, because it's a collective.
Yeah.
And the feeling is mutual. And I look forward to us kind of continuing this and creating a buzz and growing
Mhm.
this and just being a voice and creating space for our own unique perspectives about this earth. So it's wonderful. I think we kind of summed up also before we get started, shout out to the SIP. For context, the SIP was
Yes.
a gay podcast, weekly
Yes. Yeah.
The radio show.
2018 and well, no. I can't remember the exact. It was 3 years though.
It was 2016 to, because I joined in 2016. 2016 to I believe 2018, 2019, probably.
Okay, yeah.
Right before the pandemic. We
Right
did
before
something
the
pandemic.
yeah.
I'm like, we did something before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a wild ride. It was amazing. We had so many celebrity guests, and yeah.
I still quote my interview with Rutina Wesley, and I owe that to you. I owe that to you. Gosh, yeah. I could never. But go ahead, sorry.
It was great though. Yeah, I agree.
Well, we're just standing on the shoulders of greatness from the SIP and just continuing that legacy on with No Homo. So
the No Homo show.
And when we say no homo, we actually pronounce that KNOW, like no homo. Get to know.
Come get to know us. Get to know us. Y'all don't know too much. Y'all think y'all know, but you really don't.
Y'all think y'all know, but you don't know.
Okay.
Just kidding. But yeah, I mean, it's because we want to spread knowledge and give insight on things that people, may have questions about or may be ignorant about.
Yeah.
We want to enlighten it at the end of the day.
Well, no wing is half the battle. That's what they say. So
I like that. No wing. That's cute. That's a soundbite, Phillip. That's a soundbite, Phillip.
Look. Let's save it for the merch.
The reels, yes. The documentary,
the merch. We're gonna put it on T-shirts, mugs, hats,
tattoos.
Tattoos.
Well, I think. First, wonderful intro, everyone. I think that kind of starts us off to get started with the first headline. Actually, it wasn't something that we all shared, but I think it's worth discussing. And the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, who passed literally 2 days ago. And not that it was sudden, the lady was 96 years old, but there are so many mixed feelings and emotions about her passing. In fact, I have a really good friend that lives in London. He's from the UK. And I called him just to make sure he was fine, because there's even though he's a person of color, he's a Black person, there's for a lot, a very true sense of dignity and support and love for the royal family. And then I've heard other reactions that were certainly kind of calling out the royal family and the structure for a lot of the oppressive systems that have happened around the world through the British Empire. So just wanted to kind of go around and see people's thoughts. I'll just throw this out in the air. Who wants to take this first?
No. Well, first of all, I want to say that, I don't wish death upon anyone. Okay.
Yeah.
And hey, she lived a long life. She lived 96 years, and it was good. She lived a life of privilege for 96 years. That being said, I remember when I was a child, and my first memory of the royals was Princess Diana getting married. And I just thought that was like the most amazing thing ever, and I revered the royals. From that point on, I just revered them. It wasn't until high school that I realized all the terrible things that they did to all of those other a lot of African nations, you know what I mean? And I didn't know that they were the head of state for 15, 20 other countries. And that they had colonized them, and those people were accusing the British royal family of genocide. I mean, the monarchy basically was built on the backs of slaves. Okay. And they stole their jewels, their gold, their sugar,
right.
I mean, so much, so I see why people are upset, about like all of this media attention, especially in America, for the royal family. I want to say this too before I hand off to Brandon.
Mhm.
Am I the only one that didn't know there was an Irish Twitter? Because they went in.
Oh,
The
enlighten me,
Irish,
enlighten me.
the Irish, the Indians. Oh my God. And Black Twitter went off.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
went
Yeah.
off. It was funny because my my partner says he's like, babe, did you know there was a Irish Twitter? And I'm like, Irish Twitter? Baby, they were stomping on her grave. They were doing like the most on Twitter.
Mm.
Because, well, the Irish, they have been begging for them to let them go, to be a sovereign nation, you know.
Mhm.
But, hey, what the queen wants, what the queen wants.
Ooh, Brandon.
It's funny how you kind of put that in perspective, because you said, I know why people are upset. I would say, are they though? Like, it's giving a birthday or something like Twitter. Like everybody, I'm like, this like there are people like that. That meme where Chloe says, "People are dying, Kim." It gave me like that a little bit. But with the context that you give, I mean, of course, and knowing that, growing up, I mean, not what could you say, but it's just like, oh, okay, I sorry that she lost her life and different things like. I mean, people just deserve to live, especially while we're growing up and we're learning like grievance, especially within the pandemic and different things like that. I swear to you, even with that, like I've always respected life, but I definitely have a different understanding of life. How people have just been passing lately,
Mhm.
and to see the queen, I'm sorry, I'm not laughing because it's the way they like. I'm like they are treating like the queen like she is Kevin Samuels. Like I was just like, y'all are like, woo, like y'all like they was rejoicing over that, and some people are rejoicing over this. But I would definitely say, I mean, you like you said, you lived your life, you've done what you did in your time, how you spend your time. I believe you need to do it wisely, and you need to do it in the best way you can. And funny enough, I do believe the queen did that. I do believe she thinks that everything that she did, and their government and everything like that was for the best of their land and in their honor and things like that. But yeah, it's just hard to put a pinpoint, I think, on how people are feeling. And myself, I can honestly put myself in that situation. I do, like I said, my heart goes out to the family for losing a loved one and different things like that. But for the people who have lost a lot more, there's a scale here. You know what I'm saying? Like there's some difference here. And I do want to just like, before I hand it off back to Phillip, I just want to say that as a child, I used to get her mixed up with Marie Antoinette. I did a whole presentation and talked about the queen, and I said, let her eat cake, let them eat cake. And,
Oh my
and
God, you did
and my
not.
teacher was just like, okay. Thank you, Brandon. Everybody give him a round of applause.
Different century.
Whole different time, honey.
Like,
I
whoa,
said white
hundreds of
woman.
years ago.
I said white woman, she's in charge. They're one of the
Brown.
I literally,
Revolution.
I waited so long just to say that, and she was just like, yeah, She came
Oh,
and she's like, that's the
wow.
wrong, wrong royal. So, but yeah,
You want to ask about the grades you got on that presentation?
it
Oh.
was like second grade, so I feel like they was just giving. And I'm in
Oh.
Gary public school, so they just gave everybody A's. So they didn't see us
Everybody
next
got a
year.
trophy. Everybody got a ribbon. Yeah.
Here you go.
I'd like to thank everyone who voted for me.
Let them eat cake.
That's it.
Wow. Well,
Okay.
I think it's very, very interesting how now people are putting together that when a certain group of individuals takes resources and oppresses another group of individuals, that has long-lasting repercussions, and the effects are still happening now. And despite the warm, fuzzy marketing that we all feel about people in power and how media and society tells us to be, endeared and protect and support people who are very, very rich or famous. That will never care about us, right? We're just very invested in who got married and who's having a baby and all that stuff. But yeah, I think in so many ways, people should at least acknowledge the harm. And I feel that a lot of times leaders, this is my opinion, that we let them get off with doing the bare minimum, because yes, she probably did do some progressive things for her people, but I read an article that mentioned that she was in Africa, like she actually visited Africa right before apartheid started. So as the queen, so I think that a lot of the things that people don't want to talk about because of abuse of power, and we think, oh, the queen, she's a nice little old lady, she's tea, she's not gonna harm you. Have a diamond the big of your fist, and you'll see kind of what's going on. But that's interesting. So I appreciate everyone's perspective. So I'm going to go ahead and move us on to the next topic. A little bit lighter, but certainly of significance. And this is something that you brought up, Brendan, which is the teaser for The Little Mermaid, which was released also a day ago. And I know like many of us are excited. Brandon, since you're clutching your heart, I'm going to let you start first and just talk about the historic meaning, of course, how you felt about it visually, and, the snippet of part of your world being sung by Haley Bailey. So just want to see your thoughts there.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, when the news was broke out that she would be playing Ariel, I mean, what did my little queer black heart sing? Like it's so much to think that one, they are turning these amazing animations into live actions, which I had a little standby about, I get, but now it's given promising as they've developed and changed a lot of these stories, and also given so many opportunities to look at these Disney princesses, show diversity, show what these stories also ultimately were really about, because we all know the Brothers Grimm's, they're not Disney, honey, they're not the same.
Not at all.
Not at all. So
Cinderella, that story was really
That was dark.
Honey, Cindy's a little murderer. But at the same time, it's just having that retrospective understanding that when they called, like, first of all, I'm a huge Chloe and Halle fan. I'm a fan. I am a fan. I'm a fan. People know this. Like, those are, Beyonce's little proteges. And ever since they started, hitting the scene on YouTube, I just was in love with their voices. We're like the same age, technically. And just following them and just following their progress and everything always just meant so much to me. But to see them propel in this way, but in Halle within this role, I mean, first of all, the trailer, I had some mixed feelings about what she may have looked like, given that, she's a Black woman. She does have natural, beautiful, long locks. And that, Ariel has been just the opposite. You know what I'm saying? The Ariel that we know was opposite. She was not Black. She had, beautiful auburn, long hair, thick ass bangs. And, we just was like, how is this going to give? What is this going to give? When we saw the trailer, I was just like super pleased with the fact that, one, she was captured so beautifully, and also that her locks are still there. They are just auburn. Like, that was everything. I know that means a lot to a lot of Black women, a lot of Black girls coming up and understanding that this is like what reflection and this is what representation looks like, today. And then even when they first announced her, she got so much shit, man. She got so much shit. Not my Ariel, like all this other stuff. And I'm just like, and it's crazy because one of the biggest parts, I think that Ariel became so famous because she was the singing princess. Like, she was the princess with the voice. Everyone had a voice, don't get me wrong. But notably, everybody was like, oh, now she set the standard for these princesses having these amazing voices. And shout out to Jodie, I forget her last name, but Jodie was the one who voiced Ariel in the 1989 animation. Jodie did such an amazing job, and she started that trend of having these princesses really sing. You had to sing, you had to squabble because of her. And to match it up with Halle's voice is so angelic, so beautiful. Like,
it's perfect.
It's perfect. And that's why, like, when people were like, "Oh, not my Ariel," I'm like, y'all didn't hear her sing. Y'all haven't heard her sing.
Yeah.
Like, I did not have to. Like, if I did not have to hear part of that world by her to understand that she was going to murder this. And as we got the little snippet yesterday, It's beautiful. She put her own twist
Yeah.
on it.
Mhm.
And my body, my inner child, everything is ready to see her soar. And I think the world is too now. So much positive reception after hearing that little snippet,
Yeah,
So,
I
May
agree.
2023, it's coming. She's
Yeah.
coming.
And just by the way, Jodie Benson is the person that voiced
Jodie Benson, thank you.
Ariel for the
Okay.
1989 film. So
Mhm.
yes, absolutely. Shout out to her. Isaac, what are your thoughts?
Well, I remember 3 years ago that there was a what is it, a Facebook page that was literally called "I Like My Ariel White,"
Okay.
and me and some friends stormed that page.
Not stormed
It's just,
it.
it's just so ridiculous. I mean, first of all, these are fictional characters.
Right.
Why do you insist that they can't be
Anything else?
representative of, like, other races when it's, first of all, it's fiction. She's a fish. Okay, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, no, enchanted fish can only be white. It's
Yeah.
stupid.
I mean, if you think about it, I remember growing up and like seeing the Flintstones and like everybody in the Flintstones was white. I said, okay. And you see the Jetsons, everybody in the Jetsons was white. I'm
Mhm.
like, so there's no one. I mean, that's
No
such
black
a
people.
message. There's
Wow.
no other races or nationalities in the past or in the future. I mean, is that
No.
what you're saying? But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, to your point, Isaac, and also to you, Brandon. I mean, first I thought it was very beautiful. I'm leery about all the CGI that it's going to take. Like, I know that they've done advances, leaps and bounds with CGI, but like they're going to be underwater for like majority of the movie, which is like, so imagine capturing locks underwater. That's going to be different from, straight hair,
Mm-hmm.
her acting, her singing. So just kind of all that's going to be
Mm-hmm.
something I'm going to be looking at. But I think it's just funny how no matter who plays Ariel, right? If she was another race, another whatever, she's still a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Like we
Mm-hmm.
all wouldn't we
Yeah.
all be represented if Ariel was Asian or if she was Indian or like but the talent should always be there. And I think it's just so important and also unfair that other groups don't ever want to think that young girls, people with natural hair, people with other features don't ever want to see themselves represented. And you think
Right.
about it, that movie has been around for over 35 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, yeah, close to 35 years. So you think about how, that's been the staple and pretty much every Disney princess except for Pocahontas and um was
Princess and the Frog.
Tiana.
Tiana.
Tiana,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Tiana. And I think maybe Mulan is a
And
princess in
Moana.
there,
Mhm.
but you really have not seen a lot. Oh, I think recently they're doing a lot more. Like I think Moana,
Moana's one.
Pacific Islander,
Mhm.
Princess. So they're trying to do a lot more, but that's recent compared to the
Yeah.
decades
Yeah.
of, you know.
Decades and decades.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Disney movie of all time is Sleeping Beauty. I think it's fantastic. I,
Mm-hmm.
I love how,
Aurora. Oh God,
I
yeah,
love it too.
Aurora.
another
That's my
singing
girl.
princess, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you never, I mean, you grow up realizing that though they're great works of art, for whatever reason, you were never put in mind. You had never existed, and how does that
No.
make a child feel? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Agreed.
yeah.
Mhm.
But looking forward to the movie. I know we all
So
are
am
gonna,
I.
oh,
Yes.
and look out for the review, you guys. We will certainly be doing a
Oh
review
yeah.
on
Yeah. We
May
that
2023.
once it
catch
comes out.
catch that show, like, 3,000 years from now. But yeah, mark
So
your calendar.
So you might as well subscribe and like so you can
Period.
catch that. We're just giving you
Subscribe
just
and
some,
like.
some something to look forward to in the next year. So we'll
Uh-huh.
go there.
I wish I had a time machine.
Set a notification.
Okay.
Moving on to our next story, I think we're gonna actually talk about as we talk about mermaids finding a new world, we can also maybe transition this to an immigration story that you pulled, Isaac, about Chicago being a safe haven for migrants who are now going to be bused to Chicago from Texas. Do you know more about that? Want to share more about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, at this point, I think at least 3 busloads of migrants have been bused from Texas. This is Governor Gregory Abbott. This is like, I don't know, he's trying to like be the MAGA leader of Texas, you know. So because, you know, they hate immigrants in Texas, you know, even though I don't know, like, you know, who they're hiring to do those jobs that Americans won't do.
Right.
Especially
You know
in
what I mean?
Texas.
Especially in Texas,
Especially in Texas.
where they refuse to raise the minimum wage. But he has been sending people to New York. He sent, I don't even know how many like buses of people to New York. He sent them to California and now Chicago. And he feels like this is okay because we're sanctuary cities. So why not just send all the migrants to the blue cities? You know what I'm saying? And he doesn't think it's racist. Like, it's really, really, really racist. Like, and no one else, not one media outlet is saying that. Have you ever heard of such a thing? I mean, in all the years you've been on this earth, have you ever heard of a governor busing migrants to other cities because they don't want the brown people there?
But Texas has a population of over 11 million residents who are considered Hispanic.
Right?
So,
I mean, when you think about it,
I mean, their cities are like named. They have Spanish names.
San Antonio,
Texas,
like
El Paso. Like, I mean,
Texas is Spanish for friendly, literally.
now ain't that ironic?
Well,
you know,
friendly to who, right? But so I kind of wonder, I wish that we may have had some like local connection there, because I wonder like what the very large Hispanic population feels about that, because, you know, you literally have a governor who, and it's so layered, right? Because you have a governor who is about all these extremist policies, anti this, anti that, but then still has to in some form or way cater to this very large population of voters as well, and people who are working in the economy. And then you have a portion of those individuals that are also aligned with very right-wing views as well. So you just wonder kind of how does all this kind of flow and make sense, because it's crazy. Brandon, what do you think about this?
I mean, besides blatant racism, you know, like Isaac said it best. No one, I really think that that's something that really needs to change. I think within our news and media fronts, they say, oh, we just report the news and that's it. No, girl, we all know that there's ways that, you know, the way you say things, but it's like, even though you say things the way you say them, it's like some things are just black and white, and this is one of those things. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
you are like, when I think about it, is, you know, I'm getting more to my political Jones thanks to Isaac over the years and things like that. You know, sometimes us millennials, we get confused. So I'm like, there's a lot going on here. But what I can always say that I think from a millennial standpoint of view, and just a Brandon standpoint of view, like, my heart goes out to people, given that Texas is so close to Mexico and like their actual native, you know, lands and cities and things like that. Like, you're uprooting people away from culture, away from family, like shipping them to Chicago. You said Los Angeles, all these other places. Like, these people are losing like little connections to the people that love them most, that raise them, like the different customs and things that they are a part of that makes them them, you know. Like, it's so unfortunate, but it's very Texas. Like, and it's like, and I don't get it, because
It
no,
is
literally,
very Texas.
it's very Texas. Because I'm like, everybody, like, I have had like throughout the last couple years, a lot of friends like, oh, I moved to Texas. I'm like, girl, why? Like what are you going over there for? Like,
The cost of living is like 30 to 40% cheaper.
But
That's
it's
why.
increasing. It's not what it used to be some years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not as cheap as it used to be.
Yeah.
And you know what else is so crazy? That so far, Governor Abbott has spent almost $13 million for these buses. And that is being paid for by the taxpayers. Like, wow.
Many of which who are Hispanic. you know.
Many of which who are Hispanic.
You're paying them to move unwillingly. Like, it's very like, and it's not you're not paying them, but they're paying you. It's
It's
But
a
let me
waste of
bad.
money.
it's a waste of money, but you know what? They are playing both sides of it. Okay. They're saying, no, we don't want these migrants here. But this has nothing to do with the migrants who are already here because they're here legally, whatever. And so they pit the immigrants, the migrants against the people who are citizens. And they try to make them feel better than. And so those people, so those Latinos, you know, they're like, oh, well, you know, I mean, we came the right way, blah, 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 blah. And they feel like they're better than the migrants and they vote Republican. Like, it's ridiculous.
It's bizarre. I bet it's very bizarre. Like, we all know how, just as I think as Americans, or just kind of born like without doing that like work, right? You know what I'm saying? Access has always meant something to people just living because that's how they make things I get accessible. That's how they make life work. You know, if you have access, you have certain privileges to things, or you don't have to work as hard. You don't have, life is a little bit easier and different things like that. So I can see them pinning that stuff against each other to, you know, get what they want achieved.
Yeah, it's like the old slave master, like, you know, thing. You know, it's like
the house versus
the house
exactly
versus the field. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. It's crazy. I wish that we would ever, and I know this probably won't happen, right? I mean, this is me just wishful thinking, that people would actually get to the root of why people are looking to, you know, cross into the US. Like, what people don't up and leave their home countries for no reason. Like, that isn't something, people don't want to leave their hometowns. I know people have never left Chicago, you know, so
right.
I think that people never want to actually like put yourself in someone's shoes and be like, well, are the conditions of where I live that bad that for me and my children, I have to, or my family or myself, I have to leave whatever possessions that I can carry and go through a treacherous desert to get to the border of another country just to be able to work a minimum wage job, or if anything, working, but you know, you're not registered, your human rights, all these things that you're not going to be able to get because you're a migrant. And yeah, I just wish we would treat everybody with a little bit of humanity. But that's my spiel. I appreciate everybody's take. I'll just jump into a story that I shared talking about like giving people a level of respect. And this has been kind of like a part 1 and 2 story because it involves one of our favorite like really successful comedians, Aries Spears. And I know, you know, we've been to his concerts, like he's out there, he's like at the top of his game. Of course, I'm being facetious. And
you are so silly.
Because
I was like, wow. I was like, this is a little, a little glowing.
No, I was like, okay, I'm like, you know, girl, let me just go ahead.
Okay. I'm like,
did he have shows?
Okay, anyway, go ahead.
No show, just acting a fool, you know, just show. So actually, like I would say about a week and a half ago, somebody for whatever reason chose to interview Aries Spears. And for those that aren't aware, Aries Spears mostly is famous for his stint on Mad TV, and during his time, very hilarious, funny comedian. We get
40 years ago, but you know, fine. Yeah,
I'm giving him the flowers then, whatever, you know, and sure. But he said some really disparaging comments about Lizzo. And actually, as I was listening to other commentary online, people were talking about how the interviewer like kind of teed him up to say something ridiculous, like even bringing up Lizzo in the conversation was really unnecessary. Like, what's the connection there? And it was kind of like, oh yeah, I'm going to say her name because I know you're going to probably say something rude.
Try to rip on her.
Yeah, you know, and it was very mean. It was very fatphobic. It was very disrespectful. He said that she looked like the SHIT emoji, a plate of mashed potatoes, and just a lot of other things, despite him not being in the best shape, health. And I'm not saying that because he has to be a bodybuilder to comment on somebody, but it still didn't make any sense that as a man, he felt empowered to belittle a woman that he never knew, doesn't know, just for existing, while he has not even taken the advice that he's saying that that people should give her about eating healthy and taking care of himself, it was really just, for me, hard to see, even though it's so many occasions where we see Black men, hetero cis Black men dissing Black women and dissing Black artists. And I think about how difficult it must be to be someone who is like Lizzo and dealing with that type of scrutiny all the time, every day, unwarranted, just because you are in a bigger body, just because you are perceived to be some type of way, because people have so much angst and negativity for people's sizes. So I just thought that was just really, really crazy. I'm going to touch on the second part later, which we all know with him and Tiffany Haddish.
Oh, okay.
But we're getting there. But I just wanted to kind of shop around with you all and see, any feelings about, if you all first saw the actual clip, and your reaction, your thoughts to it.
Yeah, I saw the actual clip, and I mean,
yeah,
on that show, whoever the reporter is, like, often does that with the guests. Like, they'll throw some messy, some messy shit out there so that they can, get a response, something, very reactive, and you give a Black man a chance to make a Black woman feel small, and you got a 50-50 chance that it's gonna happen. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. I mean, if you haven't been like into like politics in the last 4 years or whatever, I mean, you could see it with Kamala Harris. So many Black men wouldn't vote for Kamala Harris. So many Black men would not vote for her for doing her damn job when she was AG.
It's really interesting how the filter of how people question you, whether you are, in her case, a biracial Black woman, and so her Blackness was constantly questioned,
because she's also Asian,
like all of that. Whereas when we have so many Black men that have biracial children,
who's making them? You're making them. Like, it's
right.
Like, you're consciously making them. Like, you're not even seeking out Black women. Like, you're like, like, it's
like Kanye said, when he get on, he gonna leave your ass for a white girl. That's exactly what they do.
And what he did,
right. He's got 4 biracial kids. Like,
but and to him, those are my Black children.
Yeah, those are my Black children. Right.
So it's really interesting. Brandon, any thoughts about just overall the clip?
I mean, I think I just share the same sentiments with you all. Definitely, like you said, I say 25, 75. A Black man will turn. They will, make a fool of themselves and just dismantle a Black woman that way. But I think that this goes back for me, and I think that I finally found the words to say it. And since I found it, I've not stopped saying it. Like, Black cis hetero men have never had the moment to say, they never looked in the mirror and said, you know what? The world doesn't like me. I don't like myself. Why? Like, what internal work do I have to do to love myself first, and then exude that to the world, or to walk and navigate in life and things like that? Because literally all of this shit starts with that. And then after that, you start, you're spewing out hate, spewing out all this other stuff. Like, you could just tell by the interview that he was just it was unwarranted and unconscious. Like, you just started ripping on her. Like, there's so many things to me that I think of before I think about Lizzo's look and the way she is. Like, first of all, she's immaculate. She is beautiful.
Yeah.
Face card, never denied. But before that girl has opened so many doors, has broken so many barriers, like so many things. Oh gosh. And that's just,
and her show got so many Emmy nominations too.
But honey, my mother watched that show. Anita Blanche watched that show. Anita Blanche watched that show, talking about turn up the music, was literally walking around the house, like, saying, I love my thickness and all that. I'm just like, and my mom is 58 years old now. Like, it's just like, those conversations, those barriers. Ari, what have you done? What have you done? Like, what have you done? Whack
But
ass
we're gonna talk about
suggestions.
what he's done in a little bit.
He does some stuff.
We're gonna get into that right after this message.
Right after we pay some bills. We ain't got no bills to pay right now.
Right, we're gonna-
But yeah.
But you know what, Brandon, you bring up a really interesting topic. And I think for a lot of men that kind of hold these similar mindsets and views, I look at Aries Spears and even remembering him from Mad TV, he's always been a heavy set guy, right? He's always been just, he's never been a thin
He's
person.
never been Will Smith,
No. And I can probably safely assume, right, that his mom, sister, the other women in his family are probably, but they probably will fit the critique that he's giving to Lizzo. And I wonder, like, how do some of these guys that they love the women in their families, or they say all these things about women, but they like, oh, well, not my daughter, not my wife, not my whoever. And it's like, you're still not creating a safe world for them to exist in, because you're just adding to the negativity and the perception that it's okay for a person to disparage and attack a woman because of her size or because of what she's wearing or whatever. And you just think that that's not going to happen to anyone in your family or anyone that you're close to. Like, there's so many guys that have female best friends,
Right.
they're really close to. And I really think that all men have a responsibility to speak up more against how we treat others and how we treat ourselves. And I just really think, like, how do you hug your mom? How do you give her a call?
Literally,
After you just ripped apart someone? You can't tell me that the women in his family are some freaking, health
having
models.
picnics. Right.
So that's why I think really is really interesting, and goes to a paradigm that just never makes sense to me about why people are so committed to this negative outpouring when it doesn't serve anyone, and it doesn't make life for anyone better. I actually, and just a side note, I actually started to understand a lot of things more about what women go through when I asked, like, the women in my family, like, how many times have you been harassed by men on the street? How many times has someone, said something sexual to you or said something disrespectful or got in your personal space? Like, I wish some of these men would actually, like, talk to the women in their families and ask them what their experience with men is in relationship and in passing and going out, like, if they feel in danger all the time, like, how they're contributing to this environment.
Yeah, you know what? And if they did, they could probably come away with knowledge and understanding, because then they wouldn't be, like, on record, like, supporting R. Kelly and Bill Cosby. You know what I mean? Like, people are like, oh no, those are just white women trying to bring about black men down. A lot of those women were black, okay? And a lot of those women were black. They all weren't, but it was like 50 women or so. You know what I mean? And I might not believe all of, I don't know if I believe Janice Dickinson. I don't know, because she wrote a book and all that. But I know that he probably raped most of them. Do you know what I mean? Like, and if for people not to empathize, people not to be able to empathize, because those women, my guess is those women are related to them.
Well,
like, if it doesn't affect me, then it probably didn't happen. And
that's the thing. It's not my story.
But it doesn't prevent that from happening to someone in your family.
Right.
No, it doesn't.
And then so imagine the men that were the brothers, the fathers, the whoever of these women that said that, hey, this happened to me, as Bill Cosby, America's dad that everyone loves and has wrapped himself in all this prominence and respectability, right? So where no one's going to believe that he did something like that. But that's the ruse. If I can give a perception that I'm this great person, no one's ever going to believe that I'm doing these terrible things, so I can do whatever I want. And if we believe that everyone is innocent duly because of their race, right? As much as we love our own people,
Yeah.
we can admit that there's a portion of us, right, that
Right.
committing crimes, right, and
Committing
innocent
crimes.
people, right?
Yeah.
And it isn't always just the system. I think that crime is certainly, and poverty is certainly a result of government policy, right?
Yes.
Right.
It's a result of inferior, inaccurate, ineffective government, but
Right.
people make a choice as well to do crime. So
Right.
yeah. So anyway, I appreciate everyone's comment. I'm going to keep us moving into the next section. So keep our, sensitivity to assault and other things open and aware, because we're flowing right into
That's not a transition.
just
Sensitivity
stay where
to
you are.
assault.
That's
So,
not a transition.
this week I think even over a week ago, there's been so certainly with Aries Spears getting this viral moment talking about Lizzo. Come on, karma, right?
Lo and behold.
Lo and behold, as people look more into him, right? And even within the comments of the video of him talking about Lizzo, people were saying, oh, but there's a clip of him doing this terrible skit with him and Tiffany Haddish. And so it came out. Did you all see the clip, by the way?
Oh,
Or the skit?
no.
Yeah, the
I
skit.
did.
I didn't see it.
I
Okay.
did.
I don't
I didn't know
know.
what they're
Okay.
talking about, so that's why I looked at it.
Okay. So just to provide clarity and contents to everyone watching, there about a little over 10 years ago, there's been a skit that Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears did, where Tiffany Haddish had befriended, and this is all alleged, so we're still in the process of that, but there was a relationship that Tiffany Haddish allegedly had with a mother who had two young children, a boy and a girl. The boy was at the time around 7, and the girl was probably in her early teens. And they did a skit.
I think she was 14.
Yes, 14. And they did a skit based on the eyes. I don't know what weed they were smoking in the room when they were like, we're gonna do this skit, right? But
let's do something about pedophiles.
And let's make that funny because
funny.
Because it's a funny thing.
That's the hot topic. People laugh about those experiences. So let's go ahead and do a skit about that. So they did it from the eye of a pedophile, where Tiffany Haddish is dropping off the 7-year-old boy. They're making him do a lot of provocative movement. They're zooming in on his
ass
behind. It's Ari looking at him and ogling him and rubbing oil on him, and at one point getting in the bathtub with him. And certainly there wasn't any, from what I saw, like any actual physical whatever, but it was still just detailing a very uncomfortable, unneeded experience. And they're now suing for quite a few millions of dollars regarding the young man or the young boy's feeling of being in that skit and how it affected him and the repercussions of what he lives with now, kind of being humiliated as a child. So I just wanted to kind of see everyone's thoughts there as we roll from one airy story to the other. Brandon, you want to start us off?
Sure. I mean, one thing about that internet, girl, they're gonna dig up something. They're gonna dig up something. So I had a couple questions behind the video, but I mean, daunting, horrible. Like, writers, everybody needs to be prosecuted. I don't care who it is. Writers, the people who shot it, like everybody, like
the people who allowed it on the platform.
That's what I said. The producers, like whoever was in charge for this skit. I don't know if it was a part of. I don't think it's a part of Mad TV. It doesn't look like it was shot in Mad TV's. Like,
oh no, well, not
like
10 years ago.
It was
right. It was 10 years ago.
The platform was Funny or Die. They denied.
Oh, it was Funny or Die.
Yeah, it was Funny or Die.
Now they denied any collaboration regarding the skits. They just said whoever they created the skit on their own, Tiffany and
sent it out,
and then they uploaded, their people uploaded it up to their website, and once they were aware of it, they took it down. So that's that was their statement.
Okay.
Allegedly,
good to know.
But I heard it was up for a couple of years though.
Probably.
I mean, that's what I heard.
And it's like, how do you not know? How do you say, like, you took it down as soon as you caught whiff of it? It's up there a couple of years. So nobody's reviewing this stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, they all need
no monitoring at all.
Yeah.
I just don't know how people would think that pedophilia would be funny.
It's not.
You know, and I'm gonna say that, you know, it's not that I didn't want to be like so informed on this topic.
Mhm.
But I'm somebody who's never seen a celebrity sex tape
Right.
because I know that I don't want to think of them in that situation every time I see them. Like, I don't want that to be like, oh, I remember that scene, or I remember that scene. You know what I mean? And for me, this is like kind of like in that category. I don't want to see nothing like that. Okay.
Mhm.
As far as like somebody who's notable, whatever. Like, I mean, you know, porn
Especially
is
in your
fine.
work.
But huh?
I say,
Huh?
especially within your work, I would find that very like hard to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Like
I'm not.
in your field.
No, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be a part of anything like that. And I don't know, like Char Charlemagne, uh, you know, Charlemagne the God,
Yeah.
he had a segment on his show called it Fuck 'em or Forgive 'em,
Oh,
where he had his guests say whether we should fuck air, fuck what's his name? Arius or
Aries
Aries
what's his name?
Spears.
Spears. Mhm.
Oh, Aries Spears, right. Fuck Aries Spears or and Tina Haddish or forgive them. And I think most of the people, like the three panelists said fuck them.
Okay.
But here comes Charlemagne.
Right.
He said forgive them. He just said it was a mistake.
Okay.
And
Um,
I
okay.
don't.
Mm,
See, but you know what? Here's the thing for me in comedy in general, especially as of lately. There's a responsibility here. It just is. I'm sorry. There's a responsibility when it comes down to being comedically, doing your thing. Like, no, I do not believe in censorship or the other stuff. You should be able to be an artist freely. But there's a responsibility. And when it goes into pedophilia, when it goes into rape, when it goes into things that are very harmful to people, transphobia, stuff like that stuff is harmful. It ignites people. It starts more, it's like a forest fire. It starts more than it does not stop with those words, doesn't stop with
mhm,
that clip. It enables shit. You know what I'm saying? So
mhm.
that's why I'm like, you have a responsibility. Look over your content. Is this right? You just have a responsibility. I don't know. I can't say that.
I don't think.
Absolutely.
Oh, go ahead.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, 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 I'm fine. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't know if it's on if it's on us as certainly the public opinion, right? But I don't know if it's on us to forgive him because it didn't happen to us,
Mhm,
or
Right.
forgive them,
Mhm,
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 and sometimes I feel that like common, the public feeling is always to like, oh, everyone thinks you should do this, like similar to the whole issue with Beyonce and the Khalees sample. And people are like,
uh,
mhm.
oh, you should be honored that Beyonce wanted to sample you, and girl, you could have made it back. And I'm like, she was married to Nas. Like, I don't think that she's worried about money. You know what I'm
no,
Mhm.
saying?
she's got
Like,
a whole farm.
I
Like,
think that her feeling is right. I think her feeling is just principle that I was a young artist and I was taken advantage of, and I'm still being taken advantage of today. And I'm feeling that, throughout the music industry, that I still have no protection for my art. So I think when it comes to those young individuals who were involved, those kids that were involved, we don't know. Like, who knows what it's like to walk down the street and someone say, "Hey, aren't you that person from that video?" Or "Aren't you that person from so and so?"
Yeah.
Or feeling like you're being recorded or followed, because that happens. Like, people, once you
yep.
become like some type of like public interest, like people start to like want to record you, want to find you, want to do other stuff with you. So I don't know what that's like. Or even when you think about being embarrassed as a child, like, who doesn't like when their parents like show baby pictures to them, right? Or pictures of them in their underwear. But now you have a video that's viral of you in your underwear at 7 years old being objectified sexually, allegedly, but all this happening to you, and it's recorded for strangers to be able to see that you don't know. So,
Mhm.
people are always like, oh, forgive. But again, I don't think that that's something that we have the power to
It's
do. It wasn't.
it's definitely, yeah, it's definitely an individual process.
Yeah.
There's definitely something that goes on for that person. I believe that.
Yeah.
I do think that this has the potential to be career ending though for Tiffany Haddish. It has a chance to be.
Yeah, I mean, she's really been over the years very controversial with some of her antics, but
Hmm.
this may or may not be, something that could be kind of breaking the camel's back essentially. I know that she at one point was hosting Kids Say the Darndest Things as well, and you just think about,
Right.
Damn,
overall
I ain't even
Yeah.
put that together.
I ain't even.
Yeah.
I don't remember that either. But
I
yeah.
said, I ain't put that together. Damn.
So yeah, it's certainly going to be career um deterring. I feel. I think that she's probably going to still be able to do a few things, but to your point, Isaac, I think it's probably going to be maybe a slow distance because no one wants to be affiliated with that, and it's
No.
clear that
No.
she was involved like fully, allegedly, but she was involved in the creation of that.
Well, yeah. I mean, she put out the statement. I'm sorry, but she was just kind of like, you know, I'm sorry, and it just wasn't funny at all. And I'm like, how did you think it could be funny? That's the thing. Like, in the end, I mean, it was a mistake because it wasn't funny.
Well, what if it
That's
was funny and it still was damaging,
right. Yeah.
So yeah, and then people were also saying, well, where are the parents? And someone had put a comment. I was watching TGIF, I think on Wednesday, and Funky Danny had said, well, what about the parents? And someone said, who is watching their children 24/7? Who hasn't been left with a family friend or a family member, or, like it's impossible to always blame parents because
Yeah. This is
within
true.
certain scenarios, they knew how to separate them from any other supervising figure because I think the sister was supposed to be there to watch what was going on, and they knew how
Hmm.
to bring them into an environment where they had no control and essentially separate them from any other supervision that needed to happen. So, when it comes to people who know how to do certain things like this, when it comes to manipulation, it's really a master class. A lot of them know how to do, and they're anticipating all the security measures that a lot of parents and people will try to take, and know how to like dissolve those by gaining your trust or making you feel comfortable or doing a
Hey,
couple of things that are fun and
Yeah. The
you know
grooming is, they have
yeah,
that down pat.
and it can
So
last years. So like, let's just not always assume that molestation or child abuse can't happen in any way with unless someone's being supervised all the time.
right.
That's just ridiculous. So anyway, I will move us on. I think this is our actually final topic that we have. Let's see. And it is, let me open this up so I can see it a little bit better. And this is actually, I'll bring this back to Texas.
back in Texas.
And this
Texas.
article, which is from The Guardian, talks about that a Texas judge rules employers are not required to cover HIV prevention drugs. Isn't that something?
Because of religious freedom.
Yeah, because of religious freedom.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, Texas, like, what the fuck? It's crazy how I feel like, in the because I'm in public health and different things like that. When we saw this was just something that once, the abortion, bill was, revoked and different things like that. This is one of the things. I mean, people are like, when I tell you the PH people, they're plotting. They're like, we need to find reform for all of this stuff, and this was one of those things that they have already started talking about.
Hmm.
And for Texas to be so hasty and to do something like this, where we know even with the HIV prevention drugs such as PrEP and Truvada, they are 98% approved to be effective against, fighting HIV, especially with, just being Black queer men living and loving in our community. It's essential for folks. It's essential. It's
Absolutely.
essential. And due to religious beliefs, I want to quote what they said in here. It says something like about homosexual behavior, and I'm just like, we're back to policing. Well, not back. They've always been doing it, but like we're back to policing how people take care of themselves, how people prevent things from happening, things that are inevitable. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially like when you think about like HIV and, you know, pregnancy, things like that. This is, it's around us. You know what I'm saying? It's not one of those things that you can necessarily control. You can do as much as you can with the preventative measures, with the preventative, you know, toolkit that you have. But it's around. It's around. And they're not treating it like a virus. And with this, yeah, in Texas. So let's say if you go to a Texas Christian Center of Austin, because of their religious background and their belief, they can, you won't be able to get your PrEP there. You won't be able to get your care there, and different things like that. It is on the facility and on the different spaces and places, but it's disheartening. It's disheartening to say the least.
Well, it's ridiculous that Texas still thinks that it's a gay disease. I mean, what are we like? What is this? The 82? Like, what?
And that was the only technicality to what they said. They didn't say any sexual. They didn't say nothing about sexual health all around for heterosexual, you know, pan, trans. All they said was homosexual behavior. Homosexual behavior. So that's what they said.
Homosexual.
Homosexual.
Yeah.
Well, you know, if you think about it, like I'm looking for the article now, but I think maybe a year or two ago, they said that HIV contractions or people contracted HIV was more from the heterosexual side. Like they surpassed, people who are heterosexual surpassed identified gay people, queer people contracting the disease because, you know, this kind of hurts people in two ways, because it pushed the narrative that for heterosexual people, the only thing that they have to worry about is getting pregnant. And, you know, they don't have to worry about STDs, you know, and that if you're gay or queer or whatever, your version of sex is always going to produce some type of STD. But this also prevents those that are negative, right, from being able to have protection for themselves. So
exactly,
you know, and then I think about how so many folks are able to hide under this religious kind of shelter when it comes to a lot of their racist, discriminatory, homophobic policies. You know, I think about like, where's all the compassion, the love, the helping the needy, helping the poor? Like, why are those values never the Christian way for some of these institutions? And
no, it's all fire and brimstone, you know?
Listen.
I mean, and I remember when, who was the former governor of Pence? When Pence was the governor of Indiana.
Yeah, I remember this.
He cut drastically funding for HIV prevention. And because of him doing that, contractions were up sky high within his state. And you wonder, like, okay, one is two, right? So I don't know. In the end result, yes, they want people who are gay, who, if they hurt heterosexual people, they want to do what they can to hurt and harm gay people. Let's just say, call it a thing.
Absolutely.
You know,
yeah.
But
you know, a huge segment of that group that's newly being diagnosed with HIV are Black women, Black straight women,
heterosexual women. Yes.
So yeah, so if they can ruin the life of another Black woman, you know, they're all about it.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, you also kind of think about another big contraction for HIV as of lately has also been drug usage and syringe exchange and different things like that. And it's just like, it's so many things that there's to look at. Like, it's just so many things that they could look at before I think making these decisions. But like you said, the homosexual behavior is what needs to be controlled and be handled. So, like, what the fuck?
We all have to be just diligent. I mean, what if your religious belief says, "Oh, we don't provide insulin"? You know, do you have thing against people who are diabetic?
Well, they really don't want to provide contraception.
But you know,
Like,
what, I think deep down this gives companies the ability not to cover healthcare, like slowly but surely.
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course.
Which we know is like one of
That's
the
really the bottom line.
Yeah.
That's
healthcare is
really the
so
bottom line.
dooming. It's so dooming.
Yeah, but you know what?
Mm.
They'll always be able to have Viagra. Okay,
Right. Right.
no one's getting rid of
No.
Viagra.
Yeah. I mean, we're concerned of where
Because
you put it. You can get it up, but we just want to know where you're going to put
yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. Because old rich white men definitely need a blue pill. Okay, so yeah.
Yeah. Too bad it won't be Truvada. Anyway, so we went at least in Texas.
But pup. He's here all weekend, folks.
Yeah. So actually I lied. That was our second to last story. Actually, Isaac, your story will be our final one to close us out.
Okay.
And for everyone that isn't aware, Isaac is an avid tennis fan. And so
Fanatic.
I know that with the retirement of the wonderful Serena Williams, I know that you have been deeply touched by her legacy. And I definitely want to just give you just a moment to talk about all of that and also your experience going to the tennis game and the match and meeting her and all that stuff. And yeah, we'll let you kind of close out our stories here.
Okay, well, I really love tennis. And the Williams sisters, Serena and Venus, have been very important for the game of tennis.
Mhm.
Venus is responsible for getting equal prize money in tournaments for women. Serena is the person that brought fashion into the game. She's won 23 Grand Slams. I think over 800 or so games in all. She's only second in Grand Slams to Margaret Court, who is an older Australian woman who won 24, but that was before they allowed, it's the open era. That's before they even allowed Black people to play. So she won like 11 before, and then she came afterwards, and but they were still playing with wooden rackets. Like it was on another level, okay. And then that woman, Margaret Court, she was a supporter of apartheid, and she didn't believe that lesbians were good role models for girls in tennis, and she spoke, about that. And she released a statement last week saying, oh, I admire Serena, but I don't think she ever admired me. Lo and behold, we pull up a video, goes viral, of Serena's literally sitting next to her saying how she admired her. I'm like, what do you want her to do?
Never enough.
Like, what? It's never enough, and you're lucky she even gave you that. Like, she's a Black woman who really literally had to experience racism at tennis tournaments as a child, a teenager. Even before that, when they were playing junior tennis, they were calling them N-words left and right, and they just stayed focused.
Made their own lane. Made their
own lane.
Killed it.
And now Serena's worth $250 million with a venture capitalist firm. Venus is worth $100 million with a plant-based diet. Like, I don't know, they sell like plant-based, like frozen what is it, smoothies and crap like that, but and she just closed she offered athletes to come in and get in on the deal, ground floor, raised $111 million.
And their biopic of their father earned Will his Oscar.
Yeah, earned him an Oscar and banishment. Yes,
well,
absolutely.
I mean, the slap gave him the banishment. The movie gave him
the
no. Maybe our next show we can talk about the Chris Rock's response to, because he's now talking a lot about it. Him and Dave Chappelle, but
Yeah.
now people are like, he should have just slapped you.
Mhm. But yeah, I can't tell people how, I mean, in words, like how much Serena has meant to me and to so many Black kids around the world now in tennis. And American tennis is uh, full of Black people, up and coming. Francis Tiafoe was in the semifinals of the US Open last night. He lost in a very close 5-set match. I was crying. I couldn't even look at his interview afterwards because I was so hurt. But he's just an example of who she inspired, and to play the game, and it doesn't matter that she has 23 and Margaret Court has 24, because no one ever mentions Margaret Court in the same sentence as Serena.
Oh,
It's two
Just, I
different.
never, I ne-
It's two different eras, and tennis was easier back then. Like Margaret Court was playing people who walked in off the street. She like 11 of those majors were like amateur competitions, and then she became professional. So, I mean, Sabrina's the GOAT. Period.
and just overall impact, right? And
Yeah.
what she's meant to pop culture, to Black culture, to athletic culture, to women athletes. I mean, just
body positivity.
Yes. And a lot of ridicule that she received just for being her, again, like a Lizzo, being herself, just existing. People have an issue with your body, with your color, with your hair that is natural to you. But should we let her move on into the sunset? And we know that she's rich. She got that, is it her billionaire husband, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Alexis Ohanian, and he's the founder of Reddit.
Yeah.
Now that I did not know. I knew he had money. I didn't know it was Reddit money. I didn't know it was Reddit money. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
cute, Serena.
she can pick them.
Right.
Oh, Reddit. Okay.
Anyway,
yes.
so yes. Well, that's gonna do it for our show today, everyone. I think we're like right at time, like about an hour. So
Wait, I think we ran a little long, but
okay, hour 10 minutes. The first show, we're getting there. Okay. But,
right.
Certainly we want to thank everyone for tuning in, everyone for watching. Please leave a comment. Let us know what you liked. If you didn't like something, be constructive, not hurtful. So please add a nice comment if you can. We're all individuals here, but
I'll have a haircut next time. Okay.
I'll have some things done too. But the hat matches, like everything is fine.
Thanks. You said I'll have something done too. What, Botox, filler?
Wait for the endorsements for all that, huh? Don't.
Okay.
Yeah. But we are looking to make this a ongoing podcast, so please tune in, watch the show. We're going to post as much as we can, but again, subscribe to the No Homo Show. Look for us on Instagram. I am Phil for Real 99. Brandon, Isaac, where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram at Isaac King Styles, and Facebook at Isaac King. But
Brandon,
you can go ahead.
Oh, you can find me under anything under Brandon Maurice W. That's everything. It doesn't matter, even on Facebook too.
See, he's the only one, everyone. So wonderful.
Oh, and you can find me on Twitter as Isaac King. Yes. No underscore, no numbers, just the name.
Make it easy and simple, everyone.
But that's how early I signed on. There are all these Isaac Kings now, and they're emailing me, begging me to give my name up. I'm like, go to hell. The early bird gets the worm, bitch.
Listen, what did Tina say? Just let me have my name. All I want is my name.
I work too hard for it.
I just want my name. Well, that's a wrap, everyone. Thank you, Isaac. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great week, and we will talk to you all soon.
Peace.